Welcome back to another highly requested video. Today we're counting down the top 10 richest and most powerful families that are said to secretly influence world events from the shadows. Now, I know this topic sounds a bit speculative and conspiracy-ish, but the truth is, these incredibly wealthy dynasties wield enormous power and sway across the globe through their business empires, political ties, and vast fortunes. Their wealth spans generations and continents. From old-money European royalty to ultra-elite American industrialists, these families have shaped history for over a century through their mega-corporations, enormous philanthropy, and relationship with world governments. While not much is known about the inner workings of these families, their net worths reaching into the tens of billions tell us enough about the massive power they hold. Their influence spreads across industry, finance, politics, and more. In this video we'll be counting down the 10 richest, most influential families that are said to hold major sway in the world today. Let's get into it. The Pritzker family. Kicking off our list at number 10 is the Pritzker family, who built their immense $29 billion fortune off of the Hyatt hotel chain. Though they may not be a household name, the Pritzkers are an American dynasty that control a vast business empire and wield influence among the world's elite. The story begins in the late 1800s when Nicholas Pritzker immigrated to Chicago from Ukraine. His sons established the law firm Pritzker & Pritzker in 1902, which provided legal counsel for major Chicago businesses. By the 1920s, the second generation of Pritzkers were major players in Chicago's business and law community. But it was the third generation, led by brothers J. and Robert Pritzker, who transformed the family into a global empire by founding the Hyatt hotel chain in 1957 with the purchase of a single motel in Los Angeles. Within just a few years, Hyatt had grown into an international hospitality giant. Today, the Pritzker family's wealth is estimated at $29 billion. They own 11 luxury hotel brands including Park Hyatt, Andaz, and Hyatt Regency with properties around the world. The Pritzkers maintain an extremely low profile, but their influence extends into elite circles of power and politics. Through the Hyatt empire, the family gained access to the upper echelons of society, making them one of the most influential dynasties that control wealth and power from the shadows. The Cox family. Next up at number 9 are the massively wealthy and highly secretive Cox family. This American dynasty owns and controls Cox Enterprises, a hugely successful media and automotive empire. The company was started in 1898 by James M. Cox, who purchased the Dayton Daily News newspaper. He steadily built up a media conglomerate by acquiring radio, TV, and other newspaper assets across the U.S. Today, Cox Enterprises has over 55,000 employees worldwide with holdings including cable television networks, internet providers, radio stations, major newspapers, digital media outlets, and more. Additionally, Cox owns Kelley Blue Book and Autotrader.com. The company remains majority-owned by heirs of James Cox, with a family fortune estimated at $41 billion. The Cox family maintains an intensely private attitude towards their wealth and lives. Their far-reaching media assets mean they allegedly wield enormous influence over information and public opinion in America and beyond. The Johnson family. In the number 8 spot is the Johnson family, who established the mutual fund giant Fidelity Investments in 1946. With over $3 trillion in assets under administration, Fidelity is one of the largest asset managers globally. The company was founded by Edward C. Johnson II, who ran Fidelity until the 1970s when his son Ned took over. Today, Abigail Johnson owns around 25% of the firm and serves as CEO. The Johnsons remain closely involved in leadership, with a combined net worth estimated at $46 billion. They are known for secrecy regarding Fidelity's operations and their personal lives. By keeping the company privately owned under family control, the Johnsons have amassed extraordinary wealth and power in finance. Fidelity's army of lobbyists ensures the family's interests are protected in Washington. When a company controls trillions in assets, it holds huge sway over the global financial system. The Johnson dynasty's reach firmly establishes them as one of the most influential families in America. The Ambani family. At number 7 is India's richest family, the Ambanis. They oversee Reliance Industries, India's most valuable company. Their business empire and immense wealth has given the Ambanis great influence in South Asia. It began in 1957 when Dhirubhai Ambani founded Reliance Commercial Corporation, a modest trading firm. Over 4 decades, it grew into Reliance Industries, dominating industries like oil and gas, telecom, retail, and textiles. Control passed to Dhirubhai's sons Mukesh and Anil after his death in 2002. Mukesh now chairs Reliance, with a personal fortune of $97 billion. Reliance has continued expanding into sectors like communications and e-commerce. Their mobile network has over 400 million customers in India. The Ambanis live lavish lifestyles in billion-dollar homes, attracting criticism in still poor India. Nonetheless, they remain the most influential corporate dynasty shaping contemporary India from the shadows. The Wallenberg Family. Number 6 takes us to Sweden and the Wallenberg dynasty. For 200 years, they have wielded power across Scandinavia through their investment company Investor AB. It began in 1856, when André Oscar Wallenberg formed one of Sweden's first commercial banks. In the late 1800s, the Wallenbergs profited immensely from rapid industrialization. By 1915, they were Sweden's leading bankers and industrial investors. Today, Investor AB has over $35 billion in assets and is one of the largest investment companies in Northern Europe. The Wallenbergs have major stakes in firms like Ericsson, Electrolux, AstraZeneca, Saab Group, and more, giving them huge influence in Sweden. Critics argue the Wallenbergs have too much unchecked power. But their fortune remains deeply embedded in Sweden's economy, politics, and society after dominating the country's growth for over 200 years. The Mars Family. Now for number 5, we look at the Mars Family. While known for their candy brands like M&M's and Snickers, they also own major pet food brands. This makes Mars Inc. one of the largest food manufacturers globally. It began in 1911 when Frank Mars founded a candy company in Tacoma. His son Forrest expanded the company tremendously over his lifetime with acquisitions. Today Mars produces some of the world's top confectionery, food, and pet products. Major brands include Snickers, Skittles, Pedigree, Whiskas, and Royal Canin. Mars' annual revenue totals around $45 billion. While founded on candy, pet care now represents 50% of sales. Mars is still fully owned by the Mars family, giving them complete control over one of the world's largest food companies. The siblings Jacqueline and John Mars have a net worth over $100 billion. They avoid public attention, but their undeniable wealth and ownership of Mars gives them elite status and major sway over the global food industry. The Koch family. In fourth is the Koch family. Brothers Charles and David Koch built Koch Industries into America's second-largest private company with holdings across oil, chemicals, agriculture and more. Their father Fred founded the company in 1940 as an oil firm. Charles and David expanded it into a conglomerate generating over $100 billion in annual revenue. Each brother's net worth exceeded $50 billion. The Kochs were known for their extremely conservative political activism, spending hundreds of millions on libertarian and right-wing causes. Their influence in Washington remains substantial. David passed away in 2019, but Koch Industries remains fully private under family ownership and control. Between their business empire and political spending, the Koch dynasty continues impacting American industry, policy, and politics from the shadows. The Rothschild Family. The Rothschilds are a European banking dynasty known for wealth and power maintained for generations. Their empire began in the 1700s with Mayer Rothschild's banking house in Frankfurt. Under his 5 sons, the Rothschild banks spread across Europe, financing governments, infrastructure projects, and amassing huge fortunes. Close ties to nobility and politicians gave them great influence. The Rothschild Bank helped finance the British Empire and funded exploits across Africa and Asia. They profited immensely from insider information during wars between governments. Their influence has decreased slightly, but Rothschild-run banks still operate worldwide today with family members in top positions. Their total wealth exceeds $400 billion. For over 200 years, the Rothschilds have defined immense affluence and backdoor power through banking empires and strategic partnerships spanning the globe. The Walton Family. The runner-up spot goes to the Waltons, the richest family in America thanks to their superstore empire Walmart. Sam Walton opened the first Walmart in 1962 with a business model focused on low prices. This grew rapidly across America over the next 30 years into the giant it is today. After Sam's death in 1992, his children inherited his wealth. The Walton heirs now possess a net worth over $215 billion, deriving almost entirely from Walmart shares. The Waltons continue to own about half of Walmart, allowing them to control one of the world's most valuable companies that employs millions worldwide. Their fortune and ownership stake gives the Walton dynasty unmatched influence over global retail and consumerism. The House of Saud. Topping the list at 1 is the House of Saud, the royal Saudi family that has ruled over Saudi Arabia for a century. Their claim to wealth and power comes from the country's vast oil reserves. The story begins with Ibn Saud consolidating territories into the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in 1932. He proclaimed himself king and established rule based on ultra-conservative Wahhabi Islam. Today around 15,000 members of Ibn Saud's lineage make up the House of Saud. The royal family maintains absolute control over Saudi society. They base their legitimacy on religious authority and wealth from national oil revenues. Saudi Arabia has an estimated 16% of global oil reserves. This gives the House of Saud almost unlimited wealth and power. Their fortune is estimated at up to $1.4 trillion, making them by far the wealthiest family in the world. Between their oil monopoly and status as religious figureheads, the House of Saud has no equal when it comes to influence in the Middle East and on the global stage. For better or worse, this dynastic family holds the strings to wealth, power, and geopolitics across their region. So there you have it, the 10 richest, most influential families that are said to secretly rule the world through their unimaginable wealth and power. From banking empires to oil dynasties, these elite bloodlines wield incredible influence over business, government, and the economy. Their reach spans generations and continents. Of course, very little is known about what takes place behind closed doors or how these families exert their power out of public view. Much of what we can say about their influence remains speculation and theory. But there's no denying the unlimited resources at their disposal, allowing them to shape global affairs however they choose. What are your thoughts on these powerful dynasties? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Thanks for watching.